Good morning, afternoon or evening, and welcome back to Marginal Gains. Now in 0AD there's a building that many people won't actually use at all, but it can be used as a storehouse for all resources, including food. It acts as a market. It produces some of the strongest units in the game, as well as fast and tough transports for large numbers of troop. And on top of this, you can build it outside of your territory, and it's even available for all factions. Now if you're new to the game, this probably sounds a little bit too good to be true, so in today's episode we'll be learning about the most underrated, in my opinion, building in the game, the dock. So, the dock is available to all factions, and they mostly have the same functionality, but just as in Animal Farm, some docks are more equal than others. Now there are four ways to measure the quality, if you will, of a dock. The first three of these are cost, build time, and hit points. There is a fourth category that involves the units it can produce, but I think this is better served up in a faction overview video. So let's have a look how each faction works with the first three. So the first up are the Greek factions. The Macedonians, Athenians and Spartans have the strongest docks at 2750 hit points, but because of this they also take the longest to build, 165 seconds for a single unit to do it. They cost 200 wood, and that's the standard amount for every one but one faction's dock. Now the Celtic factions, i.e. the Britons and the Gauls, have docks that take only 120 seconds to build, but because of this they're weaker. They have only 2000 hit points, however they still cost 200 wood. Now the Carthaginians are out on their own. Because they're a seafaring people, these guys have the best docks. They take 150 seconds to build a 2500 hit point dock, but it only costs 150 wood. And for all the remaining factions, their docks cost 200 wood, take 150 seconds to build, and have 2500 hit points. If you're interested to learn more, then I'd suggest the Athenians and the Carthaginians, as these have the most interesting sea units to look at. But I'll leave you to look into those in your spare time, or you can wait for the faction overview for those factions. So after the big claims at the video start, how can the docks best be used? Firstly, docks are theoretically the best drop site you can get. For all factions except the Carthaginians, they're even the same cost as a storehouse and a farmstead, and even for the Carthaginians they're actually cheaper. Now I wouldn't recommend using them in the place of either of those buildings, as you still need the originals to get the resource gathering upgrades that are critical to gather resources efficiently. As you can see in the example now showing though, the fact they can be built outside your territory means that they can act as a primitive second CZ, which brings new resources into play even in phase 1. Then, once you've begun collecting those resources, you can build outwards towards that dock and eventually incorporate it back into your territory proper. If you do this though, bear in mind that it can be very vulnerable, so defending them with garrisoned watchtowers, as well as making sure you have a strong force of soldiers present, is recommended. The second great benefit of docks is fishing. Other than hunting, fishing is the best type of food gathering available, as fishing boats gather food 125% more quickly than women gather berries, and faster still than they gather from farms. In games with plenty of fish but a lack of edible land animals, this is far and away the best method of gathering food. One of the least used but most effective uses of a dock is actually as a market. In many ways, docks are better markets than markets are. You can set your dock as the destination market in the same way you normally would. However, as it doesn't need to be inside your territory, you can get much longer trade routes much earlier, which is a huge benefit. That said, you can't create traders from the dock, so you'll still need a market for that purpose if you want to trade over land. However, it is possible to trade between two docks using sea traders, i.e. merchant ships, which theoretically cuts out the need for a market. Now sea traders cost no food and only 20 more metal than land traders. They bring in the same resources, can obtain the same upgrades, and they're also faster than land traders. As an additional bonus, you can actually garrison land traders on board your merchant ship to get a 20% bonus for each trader on board. Although, if you do this, do not let that boat be sunk. That is a very expensive ship you will have lost. Now this wasn't a complete overview of all the factions' docks, but it will have given you a good grounding in how a dock can be very useful and in my opinion is very underappreciated. As I said before, Athenians and Carthage have special units available, as do the Iberians, but these are not for this video. So if you enjoyed this or found it useful, let me know in the comments, hit like, hit subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next week.